All of my content is also posted on 5colorcombo.com, a great website for all of your Magic the Gathering needs, including articles, podcasts, and custom Magic the Gathering tokens and playmats. As a subscriber to my channel, you can use the discount code NEEDSAHONE5 for a 5% discount in their store. You can find the link in the description below. Hello everyone, it is Monday and I'm Needsahone, and that means it's time for my weekly draft video. We're doing some more Kaladesh, obviously. This pack is an interesting one. Depala's pretty strong, but she's not like incredible. I mean, if you're already in with a bunch of dwarves and you know you're red-white, you don't even need a bunch. If you're already red-white, she's very good. And if this pack didn't have some reasonable options for first picks, I would think about taking her. But Servant of the Conduit, Ether Meltdown, and Tidy Conclusion are all cards I like a fair amount. The question is, which do I like more? And I think I'm probably going to go with the removal, even though I love Servant of the Conduit for its ability to help you splash. And green is one of the strongest colors, in part because it helps you splash. So maybe I should take it. It's close. I do generally like removal more, but a removal spell that costs 5 is not exactly premium removal. Hell, I'm going to take the green card. Let's do it. Okay, well, here's another Tidy Conclusion if we want it. There's also a Lot New Hellion who can be really good in an energy deck, and we already have some energy. So if we end up in an aggressive deck, I do really love Lot New Hellion. But do I like it more than a Tidy Conclusion? I might like it more. I mean, Someone to Our Left is almost probably, pretty likely anyway, going to be in black, because Tidy Conclusion was one of the better cards left both times. So I think I am going to take the Hellion here over Tidy Conclusion. Again, both of these picks I could see going the other way, but well, there's an Attune with Ether, which likes us to have energy. There's a Malphus Doorbuster, who's great in an aggressive deck, works well with energy. Fairgrounds Trumpeter's better if you're green, white, or green, black, which we could still end up being, of course. Attune is great because it can help you splash, but we do already have one way to do that. I think I'm just going to take the Doorbuster here, because it just gives us a nice, another nice aggressive card for the aggressive deck that we seem to have the cards for so far. Okay. Here we have a Salivating Gremlins and an Oval Chase Dragster, both of which are good in an aggressive deck. Obviously, you do need artifacts to get the Gremlins going. I think I'm going to take the Dragster. Weld Fast Monitor is solid too, but I'm going to take the Dragster over him. Okay, this is a fairly late Ether Meltdown. We could think about trying to splash an Ether Meltdown. We're also not seeing great red cards here, or really any green cards. So there's a chance we end up not being in green at all. And if we don't, Doomed Operative and Ether Meltdown are both decent signs that blue is open. Windrake is like supremely disappointing in this format. So it's not a great sign of anything, I don't feel like, anymore. But so it's probably one of these two cards. Eddy Trailhawk, also a pretty good card. We could end up red-white aggro as well and be fine with that. But I do think Doomed Operative is better than Eddy Trailhawk. Question is, do I like Ether Meltdown a little more? Problem is I don't like blue-red, and red, well, maybe red's not open enough either. As I say, red seems open, but here we're given some more, a decent white card and some solid blue cards and an okay green card. Could take a Botanical Sanctum, but I don't think we want to do that. Not ready, I guess, to give up on green, because Cal Prowler's not unplayable. Thriving Ibex, goes with our energy theme, I suppose. It's not a card I'm excited about, but I'll take it here. Okay, Spark of Creativity. Thriving Rats is a decent sign about black. I don't like Sage or Shelia's Claim. I don't really think it's a great sign of anything. There's just way more relevant ways to generate energy than the Sage, like Thriving Rats, for example. And I think I'm going to take Thriving Rats here. Are we black-red? Maybe. Well, I think I'm going to say yes, because the black and red cards in this pack are pretty good. Speedway Fanatic is solid. Die Young is a removal spell. We don't really have any removal yet, so I think I'm going to go for it over the solid 2-drop. Our one vehicle already has haste, too, so that's worth considering. I don't mind Ambitious Aetherborn either, or even Eager Construct, although the Aetherborn is better if we're trying to have a little bit higher of a curve. Okay, Rush of Vitality we want, if we end up with enough nice aggressive creatures, Rush of Vitality gets to be really good. So we'll take it. Well, here we are going to take the Aetherborn, and maybe we do play it. Red and black obviously do like artifacts, so we could pick up some other reasons to want it. And we'll take the club security here. Red also may not be super open. We've seen good red cards, but we haven't really picked up that many. So our second color is still sort of, I think, open, but we will take like a hijack here. Except I don't think I'm going to play it. So we'll see. I do like both of these red cards. They may be our two best cards, honestly. But if red's not open, if it's not coming to us, it's not. And I hope I don't have to play Prakata Club Security. The rest of these are all playable cards, so we'll have to see what we are given here in this next pack. But black does seem open. We saw like the late Doomed Operative and then a late Die Young. I mean, they're both solid black playables. Neither of them are like incredible. And there's a good indicator of how bad Windrake is. We'll take Renegade Tactics. If we end up in a deck that's aggressive enough, it's not so bad. Workshop Assistant is, though, most likely. There's some times where you can put together like a grindy, usually black-white, artifact-heavy deck where Workshop Assistant's actually worth running. But I don't think that's us. So we have Panharmonicon. No thank you. It is an interesting card and all. Fabrication Module, also very interesting. We already have a little bit in the way of energy between Die Young, Thriving Rats, Lot New Hellion, and Malphus Doorbuster, so it's worth considering. But there's an Unlicensed Disintegration in this pack. It looks to be our colors, so I think we take it. Chandra's Pyrohelix is good, but it's not Unlicensed Disintegration. Cards, this pack in general is actually not that great for us, other than the Disintegration and the Pyrohelix. I guess Prophetic Prism's always nice. But yeah, we're going to take the Disintegration here. Even if we don't end up in red, I think we're going to try pretty hard to find a way to splash that thing. There's a pretty strong green card and a strong white card. Whereas black and red here are very, very unimpressive. Yeah, the black, Rush of Vitality is fine, but you don't want to be taking it this early. I don't need a second one that badly. And Reckless Fireweaver can be good in this kind of deck, but I don't love it. I think I'm probably just going to take Cultivator of Blades, and if we end up going green, black splashing red, or green-red splashing black, I feel okay about it. It is double green, so we have to be green for it to really work, but it's just a strong card. It's a nice curve topper, even if you can't go wide. If you can go wide, it gets even more ridiculous. I could do the same and take Revoke Privileges, but I think the Cultivator is powerful enough. And we also already have one green card, so that's worth keeping in minds here. Okay, so Furious Reprisal, solid. Sparsight Infiltrator, Thriving Rats as well. Pima Outrider, though, is better than all of those. So the question is, do I love my red and black cards enough? Plus, we saw signals that red was open enough, and green didn't seem very open. I think, obviously, in a vacuum, I would take the Outrider, but because it seems to be the case that red is open and green isn't going to be open, in that last pack, it just disintegrated on us. Though we do have a Cultivator of Blades, which is pretty good, and a Servant of the Conduit, which is pretty good, but they were both early picks. So I think I'm going to take a red card here instead, and I don't know which I want. Fierce Reprisal is a solid card, but I don't love it. Actually, I might just take Prakata Pillarbug, honestly, because Furious Reprisal is not great in an aggressive deck. I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. And Sparsight Infiltrator, yeah, I'm going to take the Pillarbug. Sparsight Infiltrator is good too, but we'll see. We have another chance at one here. We also have the option of Thriving Grubs or Thriving Rats. So we could take a good aggressive creature who makes energy. Or we could take a removal spell that's kind of clunky. Honestly, our deck, if it ends up being the aggressive decks that can't exist in this format, what we're going to want more are combat tricks anyway than something like Furious Reprisal. So I think I'm going to take the Grubs here. It might sound crazy, but I've been pretty underwhelmed with the Reprisal. And so far, I like the look of our curve, and I'm going to take, I'll probably take another Pillarbug. We have enough cards that like artifacts that I'm going to take it over the Infiltrator. The Infiltrator is nice with our vehicle, it's worth noting, but I'm going to take another Pillarbug here. We're going to end up with more cards that care about artifacts most likely, too, so Let's take the Pillar Bug. So, okay. Speaking of cards that care about artifacts, black definitely open. Built to Smash is a nice trick. Underhanded Designs likes artifacts. Right now, I guess this probably isn't getting played. Green was sort of might have been there for us. Right now, we only have 3 artifacts. 4 if you counter Ambitious Aetherborn. So Underhanded Designs is certainly not incredible. Built to Smash is good if our deck stays aggressive. Subtle Strike is good in basically any black deck. I think I'm probably going to take Underhanded Designs and sort of build around it. It's just so strong as a removal spell. We can value artifacts a little more now. So Malphite Squad, something I would probably have taken here anyway. Ballista Charger also worth looking at, but I think I'm going to take the Squad here. How easily can we crew you? Not that easily at this point. I guess our Thriving Grubs can with one counter on it. Both of them are artifacts, obviously, so we like them both. But I think I'm going to take the Squad. Menace is good in our deck. So now we take a Salivating Gremlins. Now that we know we want artifacts, we can start taking more of them. And the Gremlins likes that. Fortuit is fine, also worth looking at there. So this Pyrohelix came out, but ooh, that's interesting. So our deck has a decent number of ways of making energy. The question is, does it have enough? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. That's probably not quite enough. We could think about taking it. If there weren't a Pyrohelix in this deck, I probably would in this pack. I probably would take it because it's a pretty good engine. But I'm going to take the Pyrohelix instead. That card could have given our deck some more late game punch, but I think we're kind of hoping we don't have to go to the late game with this deck. So we're up to 5 artifacts, counting Aetherborn. So do we want another rush, or do we take another 2-drop, who's going to be better if we keep getting artifacts? I think we'll take the 2-drop now. Yeah, red-black looks open to me. Ooh, Thriving Rats. See, that makes me wish a little more that I'd grabbed on to that energy module. The more thriving creatures we get, but they obviously work well together, and they get better in multiples, so we are going to take it. We'll take another Renegade Tactics. Probably aren't going to play it. It's not a terrible card, though. It's just the kind of card that, like, this format is just so deep with playables that it's like, there's a lot of better things I could be doing that I can replace Renegade Tactics with. So, if we get that energy module now, I would probably think pretty hard about taking it. We definitely probably need to get closer to like 10 artifacts for Underhanded Designs to be good, but I think we can do it. We got Fabricate Creatures, and we've already got 5. So, yeah. We'll see. There's just certain cards like, Underhanded Design and Salivating Gremlins and Reckless Fireweaver. If we can't get there on artifacts, our deck won't really do anything. I mean, it'll just be an aggro deck. It won't have this sort of artifact sub-theme, but that's not the end of the world. I might still play the Fireweaver and the Gremlins if we need the playables. I hope we don't, if we don't have enough artifacts, but it could happen. Yeah. I do love Oval Chase Tractor. I do think it's a little underrated by, yeah, red is open. That's the kind of 3-drop we definitely do want. We even thought about taking one a lot earlier. That red 3-drop's good in any red aggro deck. And then the more vehicles we get, the better it can be. So, which, also makes these 3 cards we're talking about better because vehicles are artifacts. Wily Bandar, all right. I wonder how many copies of that guy I've gotten in this format so far. A lot, I think. We did find colors that are open, I can tell you that much. Wouldn't mind, like, a little bit. We could either use, like, a couple built-to smashes or some solid removal. Because right now our removal just kills small stuff, which is fine, especially for an aggro deck. But I'd like to kill some bigger things, too, ideally. Pick up an island. All of our energy stuff also makes our Hellion a lot better, too, so that's good. In a pinch, we can use Die Young just to make some energy. I have had an opponent actually with Lot New Hellion do that to me before. I don't know if it's worth it, but they did it just for the energy. But the fact that we saw like Unrated Designs and Pyro Helix and stuff like that late, and Reckless Fireweaver, I think we'll be able to get enough artifacts. Though granted, other decks want artifacts as well, so... Man, Fairgrounds Warden is really good. Tidy Conclusion does give us the removal we want, but Brazen Scourge gives us another super aggressive, powerful creature. Fairgrounds Warden, obviously the best card in this pack. If we had the capability of splashing, I'd be all over it, but we don't, really. So I think I'm just going to take this strong 3-drop instead of the sort of clunky but effective removal spell. And we'll see how far aggression will get us here, because we've made a lot of picks in favor of aggression over other things. So here we have a Sky Skiff who does get better because we have artifacts, and gets better when you have Spireside Infiltrator. There's another Helix, but I don't feel desperate for one. And we also have Conclusion, Thriving Rats, Thriving Grubs. I bet one of these Thriving Creatures wheels, and maybe even the Helix. I think I'm going to take the Skiff because our deck is asking us to have artifacts to be at its best. And it's also just a card that's solid in an aggro deck anyway. So we're going to take the Skiff over Tidy Conclusion. Again, we're going to see how far aggression will get us in this draft. Okay, so speaking of aggression, there is a Bomat Courier here. There's also a Foundry Screecher. But Bomat Courier is a nice card. I think it is better in constructed, though. If you get this late, it's a pretty bad card. Unless both you and your opponent have nothing on the board, then it's pretty good. But I think it might. We have Foundry Screecher, but it's probably Tidy Conclusion time. Just having one of these in our back pocket seems solid, and I think that's what I'll take here. We've passed a lot of them in favor of aggressive creatures. This pack, Foundry Screecher, is the best one of those. It's not quite good enough for me to want to take over some other things. Okay, well, we could take another artifact, or we could take another card that likes artifacts. And I kind of feel like we should probably take another card that is an artifact before we take another that likes them, because we really need to get there on our artifacts. So the Pillar Bug will help us do that. I do like Embrawl Bruiser, but now, we can take any of those cards that care about artifacts and feel pretty good about it, I think. And this card just like overachieves pretty impressively. Okay, well, that's interesting. So Make Obsolete is a really good sideboard card and may even be mainboardable. But this pack's pretty bad for us. This is a really strong green card to be here. For the most part, I think I've felt glad that we got out of green because it hasn't been there. But this pack shows me that maybe it was a little there. We could take another Skiff. The 3 vehicles is about where you want to draw the line. I think I'm just going to take the really strong sideboard card over the card that might not make the cut because we already have 2 vehicles, and a second Skiff isn't, like, if I get like a Renegade Freighter, yeah, I'm playing it, but a second Skiff doesn't excite me that much. And neither does the Fireweaver, so we'll take the very strong sideboard card here. Okay, so here, Ether Theorist is probably, for me, the best card in this pack, and then Sky Squirrel Harrier. We might just take another Rush of Vitality. We can't seem to get our hands on Built to Smash. We saw 1. We could take Ruinous Gremlin, which is a good sideboard card, instead of the Rush. I guess I don't hate that plan. Yeah, I guess I'll do it. Built to Smash is just so much better. If I could get one of those, I'd be pretty happy. And now black isn't looking. Someone else realized, maybe with the 30 Tidy Conclusions going around, that they should be in black. Live Fast is fine, and I'll take it. I don't think we play it in our deck, though. Our deck does like energy, but it also likes turning cards sideways, and playing a turn 3 card that doesn't affect the board doesn't seem to be in our plans. And none of these artifacts are things we want in our deck, so we're not going to take one of them. It's Built to Last. Well, I don't hate Fateful Showdown. In our deck with a relatively low curve, it's usually going to let us like pitch 2 cards, kill something small, and draw 2 cards. I don't hate that. We could also take a second Make Obsolete, so we can just crush anyone who's in the green-white or black-white go wide decks. But I'm kind of leaning just towards Fateful Showdown. It is situational. It's a terrible top deck. Yeah, I guess that turns me off of it, actually. As a top deck, it's terrible. It's fine in most other stages of the game. I'll take a Wayward Giant. We can like side into it if we feel like we need like a late game threat. And this Helix did come back. We've only got 2. We may mainboard 2. I also feel fine usually about starting one in the sideboard. Well, Beaumont Courier came back. He's an artifact. So is Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot, but Beaumont Courier actually turns sideways and does something in addition to being an artifact. Puzzle Knot just draws us cards, which isn't bad, but I think I'm going to take the Courier. Just playing that on turn 1 is the dream. We'll get Demolished there. Tezzret's Ambitions, a solid card. Scavenger, not for us. Okay. So we definitely ended up, I think, with enough artifacts. We ended up with like a ton. Well, we ended up with 7. Is that enough to play Underhanded Designs? That's what kind of becomes a question here. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I feel good about feel good enough about having 7. Maybe I should. Definitely something to think about. We have a Workshop Assistant in our sideboard, but we definitely don't want to play that just to get there on the artifacts. I think it's probably enough. I mean, 2 isn't that hard. Usually I feel better about having 10, but yeah. We do need to cut a few things. That much is clear. So I think we probably move 1 Helix to the sideboard. Although if we feel like we need to cut, where did it even go? Underhanded Designs, I'd probably bring in the Pyro Helix to replace it. Yeah. What else do we cut? Is it like Beaumont Courier? I don't think so. We need the artifact, and it's not terrible. I mean, worst case, it's like pay 1, draw a card if you top deck it late, which is not the worst card ever, you know. It's not great either, but at least it cycles itself, more or less. Well, you have to pay 2, actually, so it's a bad cycle, but it's a cycle. I mean, we could cut our Aetherborn, but if we do that, we lose one of our artifacts. And that is not so good. We could just, I guess, get rid of the heavy artifact plan altogether and run like 16 lands on this deck, which means we can like bring in Chandra's Pyro Helix and feel fine about it, and maybe mainboard a Make Obsolete, which does work kind of well with Pyro Helix at times, I guess. And just run 16 lands. I mean, our curve is incredibly low. We can get away with 16. I mean, Tidy Conclusion might be a little bit of a stretch sometimes, but I think we can get away with 16 lands. If we just take those heavy artifact cards out. I mean, our other cards that care about artifacts are fine with 7, but Underhanded Designs doesn't just ask for 1 artifact in play. It asks for 2 to be at its best. So we may not have quite gotten there on it. Like, the Fireweaver is still fine. It's still like an early creature. It'll get in for a few damage thanks to our artifacts, but I don't feel great about playing the Underhanded Designs. And if we can cut the Aetherborn, if we cut in Underhanded Designs, we can cut the Aetherborn. So we do need to figure out a 24th card, though. It could be one of our Make Obsoletes. Could be Live Fast. Could be a different 5-drop, but that makes me feel less good about playing as many lands. I think I'm going to mainboard 1 Make Obsolete and see how that does. I think it could be fine. There's just a lot of servos in this format. I mean, 3 of the colors have them. So it's good against those. So yeah, I think this is our deck. Black-red artifacts. Not super heavy on the theme, but just sort of an aggressive deck that just wants to turn its cards sideways. So we'll try to do that until we win. So I'll see you guys in the first match. Thanks for watching. And, oh, actually, I need to add some lands, don't I? That would probably be good, right? Yeah, 8/8 seems about right. Let's sort by color real quick. I think 8/8 still seems good. I think we're there. All right, so yes, see you guys in the first match. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.